today with Anna and the kids at Kruger Packaging. I was able to do some measurements and watch the precision of your work. Talk to some of the incredible workers a few moments ago. This is a company that's been around for 120 years, and they have 300 employees. Jeff and the team here at Kruger have been building an incredible business that packages up the goods that arrive on our doorsteps. But these people have done everything right, and yet, during the lost Liberal decade, they've been punished for their hard work. Housing costs have doubled. Food prices have risen 37% faster in Canada than they did in the United States during the last 5 years. All taxes now cost families more than they spend on food, clothing, and shelter combined. Work no longer pays. People are punished. You know, it was funny, I saw this meme the other day, and it was a little kid sitting on a park bench next to his dad, and he said, "Dad, what is an income tax form?" And his dad said, "Well, it's kind of like your report card at school, except the opposite. The better you do, the more you get punished." And that is what income tax is. It is the fine you pay for the crime of working hard. These people behind me, they work hard every day. And yet, at the end of the month, they look at their pay stub and it's tax after tax after tax after tax. And the more they work, the more they pay. And we're punishing our workers. No wonder our economy has grown slower than any other G7 country. No wonder $500 billion of investment has left to the United States during the lost Liberal decade of Trudeau-Carney Liberals. Now, the reality is now they're seeking a fourth mandate. Can you imagine putting them in charge a fourth time after they doubled housing costs, doubled debt, doubled the food bank lineups? That would be the worst possible thing we could do for our taxpayers. We remember that 10 years ago, Justin Trudeau promised lower taxes for the middle class. And what happened? 82% of middle-class Canadians ended up with a higher income tax bill on top of their carbon tax bill. Trusting the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal strategists to make the same Liberal promises that they've been breaking for 10 years will only guarantee that the fourth Liberal mandate will be even worse than the previous three. So the choice in this election is very simple. Do you want a fourth Liberal mandate where they will raise your taxes and drive up your costs? Or do you think it's time to put Canadian taxpayers first for a change with a new Conservative government? And that's why I'm here today. Today I'm announcing that Canada First Conservatives will cut income taxes by 15% for the average worker or $2,000 for the average couple. This is a tax cut for seniors who are drawing their pension or retirement income. They will pay, on average, 15% less. This is a tax cut for the workers behind me who will pay 15% less on their income tax. This is a tax cut for the waitress, for the welder, for the barber. This is a tax cut for everybody who has ever got up early in the morning and worked hard to build our country. This is a tax cut that will put Canada first. We will do it by reducing the lowest bracket from 15 to 12.75, which is a 2.25% percentage point reduction, and that works out to a 15% reduction in the overall tax bill of everyone earning up to $57,000. That said, because we are cutting the lowest bracket, every single Canadian who pays income tax will pay less. Modest income people will pay less in relative terms and as a share of their overall income. We will ensure that this money goes right into people's pockets so that they can make the decisions. They will then spend that money at local small businesses who will then be able to hire more people, creating even more powerful paychecks on which the taxes will be further still lowered. It is part of an overall plan, what I call the Bring it home tax cut. It's an across-the-board tax cut on energy, work, investment, and home building. It includes axing the carbon tax, and that includes repealing the carbon tax law, axing the carbon tax for real, for everyone, for everything, for good, for a change. It includes taking the GST off new homes, axing the sales tax on new homes to lower the cost of buying one and to stimulate more housing construction. It will include lower taxes on investment to bring home the $500 billion that the Liberals have driven away through higher taxes and by blocking our resource projects. We will I call it bring it home because we're going to be bringing home our money from abroad, and our workers are going to bring home more of the money that they earned so that it can go to their family and their needs. I was speaking to Dabrika earlier on, and she was saying, and she's working very hard, but finding the costs are getting out of control. Her husband has been sick and they've been struggling. And so that it's hard to pay for the bills. And even when she does work harder, she notices that she loses the benefit from her paycheck. We're in this for people like Dabrika and her family, the people who've done everything right. They deserve the Canadian promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house, on a safe street, protected by brave troops under a proud flag. Canada first. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now take questions. Please name and outlet.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre.
Thank you.
Bill Curry from the Globe and Mail. On your announcement today, your party says that this will have a fiscal impact of about $14 billion a year.
Yeah.
So my core question is, it seems like the cost of the things that you've been promising are much larger than the things you've listed so far in terms of what you're going to cut. And you're also saying you're going to shrink the deficit, and economists are saying the deficit is already getting much larger because of tariffs. So how does that all add up?
It's a fair question, and it's one that we've been spending a lot of time answering, and you'll see that in our costed platform. Just for some context, you're quite right. After the lost Liberal decade, the national debt has doubled. Government spending is up by 80%. Most of those spending increases happened while Mark Carney was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor. They have ballooned the bureaucracy by adding 110,000 more bureaucrats. They doubled spending on outside consultants. They've blown billions of dollars on handouts to corporate insiders. And finally, they've increased spending on foreign aid that sometimes goes to dictators, terrorists, and multinational bureaucracies that don't help people on the ground. So giving Liberals a fourth term will only drive debt, taxes, and the cost of living higher. What we need is a new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change. So I'll tell you what we are going to do. We will be cutting bureaucracy, cutting consultants, cutting back on handouts to insiders, and we will cut back on foreign aid to bring our money home to this country. We will also, and those will be spelled out in our platform with numbers to show how we will reduce the cost of government so that we can leave more money in the pockets of the hardworking Canadians behind me. We'll also bring in a dollar-for-dollar law that will require ministers find $1 of new savings for every dollar of new spending. And that will drive down the cost and drive up the efficiency so that we can get value for money. You will remember, Bill, because you were around, and I know your nose was deep in the books every day studying the finances in that era. In the Harper government, we cut the GST from 7 to 6 to 5%. We cut income taxes. We brought in special tax breaks for families. We cut small business taxes. We cut taxes on large employers. We cut literally every single tax the government collected, and somehow we managed to balance the budget at the end of it all. How did we do it? We drove efficiencies. We ran a lean operation. We cut out the waste. We were totally intolerant of corruption. And by the way, we unleashed our resource sector, which generated more revenue for the government without charging more taxes on the people. That is how we put Canada first for a change. Thank you.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup, Bill. C'est une question très importante. Évidemment, après la décennie perdue des libéraux, la dette nationale a doublé, en même temps qu'ils ont augmenté les taxes sur la classe moyenne. La plupart de la dette a été ajoutée après que M. Carney est devenu le conseiller économique Justin Trudeau. Et maintenant, on a les mêmes députés libéraux, les mêmes ministres libéraux, les mêmes stratèges libéraux qui font exactement les mêmes promesses libérales. On aura les mêmes résultats si on leur donne un 4e mandat. Ce qu'il nous faut, c'est de mettre le Canada d'abord pour faire changement, en coupant la bureaucratie, coupant les consultants, coupant l'aide à l'étranger et coupant les autres, le BS coopératif qui favorise les petites amies du gouvernement au lieu de créer des emplois. Et c'est ça le plan que nous allons présenter. Nous sommes à la 2e journée de la campagne électorale. Donc, vous allez voir les économies que nous allons faire. Comme vous le reconnaissez, M. Curry, parce que vous étiez un expert en matière de finances pendant les années Harper, vous avez lu tous les budgets. On a pu couper le TPS, couper les impôts pour les entreprises, les travailleurs. On a coupé tous les taxes, chaque taxe et impôt que le gouvernement fédéral récolte, en même temps qu'équilibrer le budget, parce qu'on avait une discipline pour réduire la bureaucratie et une intolérance envers le gaspillage. C'est ça l'approche que nous allons prendre pour protéger les Canadiens, pour renforcer notre pays. Moins de bureaucrates, plus d'entrepreneurs, moins de consultants, plus de travailleurs. C'est ça l'approche pour mettre le Canada d'abord, pour faire changement.
Thank you. Next question.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre.
Good morning.
Kate McKenna from CBC News.
Yes.
I want to return to what Danielle Smith said to Breitbart News. She said tariff threats have helped the Liberals and that she asked for a pause on the dispute between the two countries to get through the election. She also said that you are more aligned with President Trump's agenda than your Liberal counterparts. I'm wondering if you feel these comments are appropriate.
Are which?
Appropriate.
Well, people are free to make their own comments. I speak for myself, and let's talk about my agenda. My agenda is to put Canada first for a change. You know, there's a reason why Donald Trump wants the weak, out-of-touch Liberals in power. They've handed him control of our economy. Trudeau and Carney raised taxes on work, investment, and small business, driving $500 billion out of our economy to the U.S. They blocked pipelines, mines, LNG plants, forcing our energy companies to sell 100%, almost 100% of their product to the Americans at discount prices. They have buried us in bureaucracy, and Donald Trump knows that a weak, out-of-touch Liberal government, given a 4th mandate, will only make Canada a bigger target for him. What we need, and that's why the choice in this election is whether we're going to elect weak, out-of-touch Liberals to a 4th mandate, or whether it is time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, bring home our jobs so that we can confront Donald Trump and the Americans from a position of strength. En français aussi? Donc, la question sur mon agenda, c'est de mettre le Canada d'abord pour faire changement. Évidemment, M. Trump favorise les libéraux qui sont faibles et hors de contact. La faiblesse libérale a permis à Donald Trump de contrôler notre économie avec ses tarifs. On n'est plus dépendant. Après 10 ans des libéraux, ils ont affaibli le Canada face aux Américains. Ils ont ajouté 100 000 fonctionnaires, brisé notre système d'immigration, bloqué nos ressources naturelles, taxé nos travailleurs et les entreprises, expulsé 500 milliards de dollars aux Américains. C'est exactement pour ça que M. Trump aimerait bien revoir des libéraux au pouvoir pour un 4e mandat. En plus que M. Carney a déménagé son siège social aux États-Unis à peine 6 jours après que Donald Trump a menacé les tarifs. Donc, est-ce qu'on veut un 4e mandat des libéraux pour affaiblir notre pays encore, ou est-ce qu'il faut un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va mettre le Canada d'abord, en coupant les taxes et impôts, en donnant le feu vert aux projets de ressources naturelles, en libérant nos entrepreneurs et en confrontant les Américains avec une position de force.
Thank you. Next question.
Hey, Mr. Poilievre, it's Joe Warmington, Toronto Sun, Post Media.
Hi, Joe.
Nice to see you. I think when I look at the crowd here, and I know some of these people, I see them at the rinks, I see them in the shopping mall.
Good folks.
And I see the families and the children. I think that my feeling from a street columnist is the number one issue is the future for families owning homes, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
This tax cut certainly will help that. But I think when you follow the news and the press releases over the last 10 years, what you see is every day an announcement of money going out. Never any accounting for it. We don't see any results from it. A lot of times it's abroad. You kind of touched on that a little bit. And I want to talk about that, about getting control of the money that the taxpayers are paying here in this country. They hear all the stuff with Donald Trump and all of that, and they're worried. And you hear it every day. I think that, for me, is the number one part of this election, is that issue of the future.
I couldn't agree more. And electing the Liberals to a 4th mandate would not move us into the future. It would bury us deeper in the past, deeper in debt, deeper in taxes, deeper in more and more inflation. The Liberals weakened our economy by blowing cash out the door. They doubled our national debt. Much of that debt during good times. In fact, the majority of the new debt they added had nothing to do with COVID. And now we're buried under that debt. They blocked our resource projects, landlocking us into the Americans. They've taxed our people and our businesses sometimes into submission and put us into an unprecedented place of weakness relative to Donald Trump, who now threatens us. And I know that people are scared. They feel threatened. They've lived through hell over the last decade, and now they're facing these unjustified threats from President Trump, who, quite frankly, needs to knock it off. The only way to make that happen is to reject a 4th Liberal term and elect a new Conservative government that puts Canada first, so that we can cut taxes for our workers, cut waste, bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, reduce the cost of government, and unleash our resources in this country so that we can become strong, self-reliant, sovereign, and stand on our own 2 feet as we stand up to the Americans with strength.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup de votre question. Vous avez raison qu'après la décennie perdue des libéraux, on est dans une position de faiblesse face aux États-Unis. Ils ont doublé notre dette nationale. La plupart de dettes qui a été ajoutée n'avait rien à voir avec le COVID. C'était juste des dépenses hors de contrôle qui est arrivé lorsque M. Carney était le conseiller économique à Justin Trudeau. Les mêmes députés libéraux, les mêmes ministres libéraux, les mêmes promesses libérales vont jamais changer ça. Il faut élire un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va mettre le Canada d'abord en coupant la bureaucratie, les consultants, l'aide à l'étranger et les autres cadeaux pour les amis coopératifs au sein du gouvernement afin de réduire le coût sur le dos des Canadiens. En libérant nos entrepreneurs et nos travailleurs, on va leur permettre de ramener la production ici. En donnant le feu vert aux projets de ressources naturelles, y compris GNL Québec, on va pouvoir renforcer notre forteresse économique pour confronter les Américains avec la force.
Thank you. We'll now take a question from the call-in line, and this will be the last question.
Thank you.
Olivier Bussy from TBA. Your line is now open. Please ask your question.
Oui, bonjour, M. Poilievre. J'espère que vous m'entendez bien. Mark Carney a nommé son équipe de ministres qui auront des rôles clés pour l'économie et les relations canado-américaines. Est-ce que vous pouvez dire aux électeurs qui, chez vous, parmi votre députation et vos candidats, ont les compétences pour peut-être aspirer à ces rôles-là?
On en a plusieurs. Évidemment, on a des députés. Je ne vais pas nommer mon cabinet. Je ne vais pas nommer mon cabinet aujourd'hui. Évidemment, personne ne le ferait en opposition. C'est pas responsable. Mais je vais dire qu'on a une équipe qui est très, très expérimentée, capable de mener un gouvernement. On a par exemple, des propriétaires de hôtels, de plusieurs hôtels, Ryan Williams. On a l'ancien ministre des Finances de Nouvelle-Écosse. On a une excellente équipe au Québec avec plusieurs députés qui font partie de mon équipe déjà. Par exemple, Pierre Poilievre, c'est un ancien combattant, un ancien homme d'affaires avec beaucoup d'expérience. On a Yves Lévesque qui est probablement le meilleur maire au Canada, qui a bâti Trois-Rivières. Donc, on a plusieurs députés. On a Carolyn Finley, qui est un ancien ministre dans l'Ouest canadien. Je suis pas en train de nommer mon cabinet. Je suis en train de dire qu'on a une belle équipe. Et c'est ça le choix. Est-ce que vous voulez un 4e mandat des libéraux avec les mêmes ministres? Parce que vous savez qui seront les ministres libéraux. C'est Stephen Guilbeault, c'est les autres de l'extrême gauche qui ont détruit notre économie et nous ont rendus faibles face aux États-Unis pendant une décennie. Par contre, si vous voulez un vrai changement pour mettre le Canada d'abord, il faut élire un gouvernement conservateur qui va couper les taxes, éliminer la bureaucratie, donner le feu vert au projet de ressources naturelles et en fait, couper les impôts de 15% pour chaque travailleur à travers le Canada.
Merci, thank you. This
All right. En passant, j'aimerais bien, TVA, j'aimerais bien avoir le débat avec M. Carney sur sa proposition d'avoir un 4e mandat libéral. S'il pense que les libéraux devraient avoir un 4e mandat après la décennie perdue libérale, il devrait dire oui au débat des chefs à TVA et je vais mettre mon plan pour mettre le Canada d'abord pour faire changement.
Thank you. This concludes
All
the
right.
event.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to be announcing my cabinet. I just went through a whole list of fantastic candidates that we have on our roster. It will be up to the Canadian people to decide whether they want to bring back the Liberal team, the Liberal MPs, Liberal ministers, Liberal strategists who've been in power for 10 years and give them a 4th consecutive mandate, or whether it is time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash resources, and stand up to the Americans from a position of strength. Thank you very much. Let's bring it home.